True crime, history, passion, deceit, murder. It's happening everywhere across the United States. The new book, 50 States of Murder, is a chilling dive into our country's homicidal history. Learn about each state's most grisly, gruesome, and notorious murders. Author Harold Shechter joins us to share more.
Harold, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on.
Well, true crime's kind of a thing. People are crime buffs, or I don't know, they feel like maybe it's a little gruesome. You tell me, what draws you to this topic?
Well, I tell people it's important to recognize that there's nothing new about true crime writing. I was asked this year to be the true crime consultant for the Guinness Book of World Records, the 2026 edition. And one of the entries I included was the oldest true crime book in English, which dates back to Shakespeare's time. True crime publications have existed pretty much from the time Gutenberg invented the press. And even before that time, there were things called murder ballads, where whenever a gruesome crime happened, people would create poems and songs about it and spread them orally. So again, I'm working in a genre with a long history.
What was your selection process like? There's so many. I wish there weren't so many murders that happened in our country, but how did you select the cases that went into the book?
Well, that's a good question. One thing I did not want to do was cover cases that everybody knew so much about. So the section on California, for example, has nothing about Charles Manson. The chapter in Wisconsin has nothing about Jeffrey Dahmer. I've always been interested in why a certain small number of cases become so famous, while others, equally, sometimes even more horrific, just become yesterday's news. So when I was doing my research, I was pretty much interested in which murders had become most infamous in each individual state. So that was one way I made the selections. Another is people are interested in true crime, or one of the things is the story of the crime. There are certain horrible crimes that there isn't any particular story to. Somebody.
Right. It seems more random, perhaps. Like
somebody kills somebody.
Not a big backstory. Yeah.
So I was looking for crimes that had not only become very notorious within the state, but also crimes that had something gripping or compelling about the characters who committed them and why they were committed, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I could see how that would draw you to it, but also I think haunt you a little bit. My last question is this: is there a particular case that keeps you up at night because of you've written 30 titles plus about true crime with this profiling that you've been doing on these cases? Which one keeps you up?
Well, the one I found most disturbing to write about, which I did not include in the book because, again, it's very widely known, was the subject of my second book, Deranged, which was about this cannibal, pedophiliac, sadistic killer named Albert Fish, who went across the country in the 1920s into the 1930s, abducting and torturing children. And that was a difficult book for me to write, partly just because of the nature of his crimes, and also because I was writing it at a time when my two daughters were quite young, about the age of Fish's victims. So that crime in particular, that story in particular, was the one that gave me the most nightmares.
Well, this is quite an experience. You have to be a pretty tough guy to do all of this research and dig into these cases. But I will say, for people who are fans of true crime, this is the one. This is the one you get for your true crime fans. It's 50 States of Murder, an Atlas of American Crime, written by Harold Shechter. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me here.
50 States of Murder, an Atlas of American Crime by Harold Shechter is available now wherever books are sold. A perfect gift for the true crime buffs in your life.